Hello, I'm Master Off Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm James Pendleton. I'm here to talk about Everton's sort of weekly news roundup, a look at what's gone on, particularly over the weekend. There's been a little bit more movement than what we've been used to seeing the first couple of weeks of the off-season, if not particularly the transfer window, but things may be just starting to click into gear a little bit, which is maybe not exciting, but it's certainly necessary, certainly needed. So we'll sort of take a look through that. We've got a bunch of links, certainly to say over the last sort of 24, 48 hours, which is interesting, varying sources, varying reports and stuff. But the big news from today was Demarai Gray. Interesting, I believe it's Al Hilal in the Saudi Arabian League. Obviously, Saudi Arabia are trying their best to sort of compete with this European football, I won't say monopoly over football, but European football having the main stars and the big name players and stuff. So going after Demarai Gray kind of goes against that. It's a bit strange. Didn't expect to see any of our players linked to Saudi unless it was maybe like Dele Alli going on a free, or players like Yerry Mina who aren't even at the club. I kind of expected them to rock up in Saudi, but Demarai Gray being linked there. There was a report I've just read which said that Everton volume of 35 million, which is just simply it's not true. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. And that Al Hilal would be willing to offer 25 plus add-ons, which you're more likely to get 25 quid plus add-ons than 25 million plus add-ons, if I'm being totally honest. I think with this it's exciting because supposedly the 3 Premier League teams are in talks with him. I think we can sort of discuss this, but if say one of the Premier League teams does blink and actually does want to sign him, they say we'll take him for £10 million plus a couple of million in add-ons, I think that'd be quite fair. Then obviously someone like Al Hilal could come and say, yeah, we'll just take him for a straight 14 million or whatever. That would be really, really good business for Everton. He cost, I think, 1.8 million, so he's not cost much. He's had some good moments, but yeah, nowhere near the top standard. Certainly not a player we should be fighting to keep a hold of, I don't think. Seemingly maybe he wants a new challenge, so yeah, I think this is good news for Everton if it's obviously trim. I think the majority of people want him to go on our poll. I think it was like 66% or something, so sort of 2/3. A few were undecided, and then there was, I think, 20% who didn't want him to go, which I found a bit strange. I can't lie, I don't know why. If the team's offering decent money for him, I don't know why I would want to kind of keep him around. Obviously with the hope that we'd replace him and sign a couple of other players as well. But exciting link, that is for sure. The next one of those was Rodrigo being linked to coming to Everton. Varying reports, obviously Everton looking at him, seeing he has a release clause of about £4 million, I think it is. Because obviously Leeds were relegated, obviously at the expense of us, effectively, or technically Leicester, I suppose. But they went down, and Everton really have took that and ran with it. We discussed Jack Harrison. We've now got Rodrigo on the list. This gets a big yes from me. I think he scored 15 goals last season in all competitions. He scored some goals in the year before that as well. Played as kind of a all-action midfielder, more advanced under Bielsa. It was a bit strange, but since he moved up front, played off the left a little bit as well, his goal-scoring record's been quite good. Actually had a really good start to last season when he got injured. Jordan Pickford injured him, which you've heard before, but I think he dislocated his shoulder or something, so he didn't play for a little bit after that. But yeah, I'd be all over this for a year, maybe a year of a year option, £4 million or whatever, it's sensible wages. I'd be all over that, but there are reports saying he's had to move to Sevilla, obviously in Spain, who a move much more befitting of his talent, I'd say. I think he is a really decent player. So 32 years old, which obviously isn't ideal, but I'd say if it was to be for a year of an added year on top of that, I'd be all over it. But we'll see what happens there. Leeds as well, Wilfried Gnonto, Demarai, which is definitely the best source we've had on any of these so far to say Everton are interested in him. He's just scored for it in the 21s I've seen in the last sort of 10 minutes, so that's obviously interesting. He's played for Italy for the last few years, got some caps for the senior team. He did really well at Leeds for the first half of last season. Don't think Allardyce quite fancied him so much, but I'm not really too bothered what Sam Allardyce thinks about players, if I'm being totally honest with you. His Leeds team were awful, so the fact that he dropped him and gave him very little game time doesn't say too much as far as I'm concerned. But Yeah, energetic, hard-working player. Good dribble with the ball, agile, very small. I think he's 5'5". He plays a second striker or out on the left. I think he'd be perfect for Everton, to be honest with you, in terms of if you want to move away from that 4-5-1, have someone who can fill in a couple of different roles. I'd be a big fan of this move, I have to say. I think Wilfried Gnonto really impressed me whenever I watched him, and when we played against him, obviously I had that little discussion with Seamus Coleman, but when he was playing I was quite concerned because I felt he's a very dangerous player for Leeds last season, so I'd be all over that again. But I think if Everton went for him, we'd probably be gazumped pretty quickly, to be honest. I think he's a top player, so we'll see. But that's what I think. That was Tuto, and so that was Dimartio, and it was Tuto who said that we were after Rodrigo, so a couple of European sources there. But moving on, I had a slight link today to Kelechi Iheanacho, which feels like probably about 4 or 5 years too late. I thought we'd be linked to him when he was at City, to be honest. But I've always found Iheanacho quite interesting because I think he did really well at the World Cup, the under-17s or the under-20, I should know, but I think it was the under-17s, but I'm almost certain it was under-17s, but he did well there, did really well at City, went to Leicester, he's had a mixed time of it. He got injured against Leeds, didn't play much towards the back end of the season. But yeah, I'll be all over Kelechi Iheanacho, but again, I think it'd be a little bit out of our price range, and I think a team a little higher up the league would probably go after him rather than us, but that'll be interesting. There's no sort of fee attached with that, so we'll have to see what happens there. But obviously, I hate when people say, you can't buy players from relegated teams, or you shouldn't, or whatever, and it's like, no, we've had some of our best players come from teams who've been relegated or teams in the Championship or whatever. Same with clubs up and down the country, so it's not a problem for me. I'd be all over someone like Iheanacho, so we'll see what happens there. Back over to Italy with another European source saying that we'll be after Samuel Iling-Junior, who is an interesting player because whenever I watch Juventus, which is probably 8 or 9 times last season, he's always looked electric. I love it when a young winger comes into the team and they are just fearless, and that's what I get from Iling-Junior. Played as a wing back under Allegri for a period, which is just not for me at all. That doesn't really seem to suit. But we'll see what happens with that one. Obviously, he is a left winger. I know Gnonto plays there as well. Can also play second striker. I just think we need to be looking at right wingers first and foremost, and I'm not sure Iling-Junior is going to be the one for Everton and Sean Dyche. I think he's probably slightly above our level as well, to be honest. But an interesting link, and I think getting linked to these young English players, we were linked with the lad from Blackburn, is a Jack Wharton, which again is a nice link to have. I think it shows us shopping in the right market. Obviously Gnonto quite young as well. Rodrigo kind of the other end of the scale, but we'll come on to more players like that in just a minute, I'm sure. Next up, we were linked with a lad from, I believe, Fenerbahce. I've got his name written down here. I think it's Fedri Koldraguls. I'm not quite sure. I haven't brushed up on my Turkish recently, but I don't know anything about this guy. I've never heard of him, being totally honest. I had a little bit of research of him. Looked like it'd be an interesting move, but I think a lot of people are saying if you get someone out of Turkey, it's far from a guarantee, and that seems to be the case with him. I don't think centre-back's the first place I'd be shopping either, to be honest. Perhaps hence why we haven't been linked with many centre-halves so far. It's one of few positions where it's been quite quiet, even the depths of the terrible links, even ones where you just don't think it's going to happen. We're not being linked with too many centre-halves, we will see. And then finishing off, we have Ayman Kari, who is at PSG. Again, never heard of this bloke, did a bit of reading into him, played at Lorient last season, he played 5 games while he was on loan there. So when I was watching him, I was watching some clips, and he profiled a bit like a winger to me, like quite short, well built, but not like, a real powerhouse centre mid. But he looked like he enjoyed the left-hand channel. He played left centre mid for Lorient when he did play. I believe he is right-footed then. Just looked calm, composed on the ball. So only young, I think he's a teenager. Bayern Munich was set to sign him apparently before he extended his contract to Paris Saint-Germain, which is really interesting. Seeing them being interested in another super club's players. Again, I really like Everton shopping in this market though, because we did it for Amadou Onana. That's reaped the rewards in terms of someone guaranteed to be an asset for the club. And I think, I said it the other week, we don't want to give up on that model, and I think players like Kari, Iling-Junior, Gnonto to a degree, these are all players who fit into that mould, and I'd be really, really interested to see if Everton could prize a player away on loan from a big European club if they think we can do the most to develop him, because I do think centre-mid, say the other day, we probably need a 5th choice centre-mid, which is a really hard area to shop for if we are to. But I think with Gay getting a bit older, Onan obviously missed some games last season, Demarai Gray, Iwobi, who can also play there, perhaps all going to AFCON, certainly Iwobi and Gay, maybe not Demarai, but we shall see. I'd be all over this to say if you can. There's a couple of sort of clips of him on Twitter, you can go and have a look for yourself. But he looks like a decent player, but again, only strenuous links. It's only really Gnonto so far where him and Rodrigo, they're the only two I sort of saw and thought, I think they're realistic. And they've come from a decent source, where the rest are slightly not kind of ones that you're going to hang your hat on, shall we say. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, that is the Everton weekend news round. That's what everything that's gone over the last 24 to 48 hours. Thank you all very much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let us know down below all these players, who would you sign, what would you do with Demarai Gray, and who would you potentially avoid. So yeah, thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Toffee Blues. Thank you.